And we're live. Welcome to the First Layers Ask for Help. This is our TFL Live every Saturday night. It is Saturday, isn't it? Is it Saturday? I'm sure it's
I
Saturday.
am 1 out of 7% confident that it's Saturday.
Well, we've got quite a few people in the chat already tonight. We've got Johnny Gardner, Trevor Rickard, we got Parker Cooper, Loch Ness Gaming, Joseph Jolly, Rex Waldy, Snapshot FPV, Mark Thibodeau, SPC 3D, Mark L. Baker, Robert. Did I say Robert Avery? No, I didn't. Robert Avery, John Kitchen, and Gary T. I think I got them all. There we go. Yeah, big thunderstorms happening here in Calgary and in Okotoks where Brian is. So
Oh,
I am
yeah.
going to warn you all
Can you hear it?
now that if we go off the air tonight, it's because we had a power outage. So
We'll try and keep the lovely colors of the rain and all the lightning with my overexposed camera. We'll try and pop it up if something wild starts happening.
already. We got a few more that just popped in. Ben Brady, Corey Mack, Robert DeSerrano, Robert Marvin, Art Eckstein, 14 Scarecrow, High Tech Redneck, Kawasaki 14. We've got his question. Ray is here. Ray Milbrent and Mike Brown. Len Gore. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the First Layer again. And there's Alan Loosely. Okay, now let's get on to what we got going on tonight. So, Brian and I have been, as you guys know, we're in a little competition,
Just a little.
to launch rockets, 3D printed rockets. And I saw Brian's yesterday, and I'm afraid. I'm very, very afraid.
For me winning or us dying.
A little of both.
Okay.
A little of both. But today, I'm going to give you guys a preview of this because this is coming up on Wednesday's show. Dun, dun, dun. I built the launcher, and this is all 3D printed except, of course, for the hardware that's in it. And just as proxies right now for where the LEDs are going, I'm using push pins.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, we are going to, the final design of this will be going up onto our shop, thefirstlayer.com. It will be a free download. Right now, this is just not quite finalized yet. I have to do a couple of things here. But once it is finalized, you'll be able to go to shop.thefirstlayer.com and get this for free. We'll leave a link down below in the description on Wednesday's episode. So that's what we're talking about on Wednesday. I'm going to show you how I kind of designed it, and we'll go from there. Then on Sunday, this coming week, not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow, we are, with crossed fingers, hoping the weather is going to be well and good. We are going to be launching. So it should be fun to see if our 3D printed rockets work against commercial store-bought rockets, and if they blow up on the launch pad or not. So
I'm secretly hoping they do, to be honest.
What's that?
I'm secretly hoping they do. I want to go through the whole SpaceX experience. I want to blow up at least 5 of them before we get one successful launch.
Hey, well, that could be. That could be what's happening. So, thank you, Ben, for missing us last week. Brian was away, and I was beat up pretty bad last week. I've been fighting a bad back for a while, and it got to me. Now, another little piece of news, and we're going to announce it here tonight, just for everybody that is watching tonight. We no longer are associated with Spool 3D. I'm no longer with Spool 3D here in Calgary. We've got enough things going on our own here that my attention needs to be focused on the First Layer and Cleveland Media Group. So it was amicable split. We'll call it that, and wish each other success in our businesses, and that's the way we're going to leave it. So that's for anybody that was wondering why I'm not there. That's the reason why. Okay.
We can probably leave a bit of a story with that too, because there was a lot of assumptions that I was actually with Spool 3D at one point. I never was, actually. So I just went and purchased parts from there because they were they're a convenient location for me, and that will still remain the same.
Yeah.
We've always done our best to be vendor neutral, and we appreciate what they did for us. But So yeah,
Yep.
so any printers coming in will be coming direct to us and not through any other vendor that we have arranged right now. So you can guarantee you're going to have the most unbiased views at this point because
Yeah.
we don't have to smile to anybody really.
That's right. We don't. Loch Ness is asking me, so are you going back to Spool 3D? No. My time with Spool 3D is finished. My studio is now completely here at my house. Along with our printer room, we're going to give our patrons a definite behind the scenes look at our printer room here in about a week's time. We're going to be putting that up on Patreon. So if you are a patron over on Patreon and you're at, I believe, the $5 level and above, you'll get to see that behind the scenes look. For all of our Patreons, I want to say thank you very much for all of your support and bearing with us as we kind of get things rolling. And Brian's got another announcement for you regarding Patreon and the rest of our community.
Yes, I finally had some free time, and I have set up our Discord servers. So we have a special area put aside for Patreon members, just
Right.
for more direct access. But that being said, it is available to everybody. I've posted it on the Facebook group, but I'll post it in the chat shortly here, and it's obviously free to join. We have an actual speaking area, so if you want to speak on microphones or video, we can do that. Different topic areas, and I realize there's a lot of different Discords out there, but we're throwing a couple different concepts in there, so you can show off your failures and discuss different ideas. Unlike other Discords, I am still encouraging people to post in the Facebook group as the Discords get a little cluttered, but if that is your easiest access, there's an area for that. You can post if you got a new show idea, something that you want to see reviewed, that'll come pretty much direct to us, so we'll actually be able to see it and evaluate if we can bring it in, because as you've heard, we are on our own. We do our own thing, and this is purely supported by Patreon members, viewers running this without ad block, super chats, likes. It's all you guys. So thank you for all your support, and we'll make sure that comes right back to you. So just watch for me in the chat here shortly. I'll be posting that Discord link.
There you guys go. So now, if you guys are interested, you can always, if you've got a question tonight and you want to get to the head of the line, we do have a couple things we're going to cover. We only have really two, but one's really kind of involved, so I'm letting Brian read through that first. So we're going to take a couple questions from the audience first. For you guys that are live with us tonight, we're going to take a couple of questions from you guys, and we'll go from there. And I'm going to give my wife my phone because she's been wanting to take some behind-the-scenes pictures while we're on the air.
Yes, if you didn't see, I procured some first layer merchandise this week. So
you did.
I'd love to say I'd like to make these available for sale, but let's put it this way: you probably wouldn't want to pay what we'd have to pay to cover our costs on these. But we had some nice embroidered hats with the logo, and you'll see that's in a nice purple. It's not the exact Pantone color. I tried, but I got something very close. And then Richard is wearing one of two polos that actually has the first layer logo. These are fully stitched in, and now that we have the file converted, we can make some special merchandise. So watch in the future. Maybe on Patreon we'll do a special giveaway for a one-off once in a while here, but it's not cheap.
It's not cheap. And thank you to Brian and Jess for coming up with the embroidered logo design, which I'm very impressed by.
I was a little sneaky. What can I say?
It looks great. I like it. For those of you that have been commenting on Tim McCoy's picture this week, he was wearing one of our iPrint PETG t-shirts, and those are available from shopthefirstlayer.com. You can go there. We are using Stripe and PayPal, so you can just go ahead and get one of your t-shirts there. Now, admittedly, 2XL and up are a little bit more expensive because it's more fabric, and we are shipping them from here, where they're not being shipped from Teespring or anybody else. They're being shipped from here. So go to shopthefirstlayer.com if you're looking to get yourself one of those t-shirts. Dominic Versetto, is it normal to have to level the bed before every print? No, it is not normal. If your bed leveling is too loose and your offset is not set correctly, vibrations of the machine will cause it to change over time. And you should not have to re-level your bed. You should re-level it maybe once or twice every month. That's about it, depending on how much you print, I guess. I print a lot, and I've got one machine upstairs right now. It's the Lotmaxx SC-10, which I am super, super impressed by. That I have not leveled, I would say, in probably 3 months. Since the pandemic started and I brought it home, I did the leveling here. I have not leveled it since the pandemic started. So that is not a normal thing. What about you, Bri? What would you say to that? You're muted. You got nothing coming through. Speak again? No, Brian's got no audio. His audio went out. So I'll keep talking. I'll keep talking. So yeah, as far Dominic, as far as that goes, you should not have to re-level your bed. What I would do is I would bring it down to where all of them are tight, reset your offset, and then go from there. Trevor Rickard, got a quick question for you all. Do you have any ideas what I can try to fix my bed on my CR-10? Every time that you move the bed side to side, you can feel something like a bump. So are you talking about front to back on the y-axis? You feel like there's like a little dip or a bump there? If you're getting that, Trevor, your eccentric spacers underneath the bed are too tight. Either the front or the back one is too tight. It's kind of a balancing act to get those set right. That's what I would try. Parker Cooper, glass for a Monoprice Mini. I would look online, look on AliExpress, look on Banggood, and the other places, as well as wherever you are locally, check your local 3D printing shop. See if, pardon me, they might have glass in that size. And I definitely would put glass on a Monoprice Mini. I would put glass just about on any printer. I'm a huge fan of glass. Kawasaki, I just was able to do a successful VS Code build for the SKR 1.4 BTT TFT 3.5 touchscreen and BL Touch. Can I dial in the BL Touch via the screen, or do I have to do this in the firmware? No, you can do this by dialing it in on the screen. It's all part of your offset. So you're gonna have to dial that in, and you can do that right there. Wow, I just heard a big boomer outside. Len Gore, adding PEI sheet to ASX1 after bed leveling using paper. I check around the center of the glass bed to find my low spots to add the adhesive strips. Nozzle is closer north and south than east and west. So what that tells me is that your bed goes like this, okay? So what I would do personally is just take a piece of tape on either side and just bring up that outer edge. You can use capped on tape. You can use any type of other tape. Are you back? Nope, you got no audio. I'm getting picture, but no audio. So yeah, what I would do is take some capped on tape or some masking tape and just put it along the sides, and that will bring up the bed. I'll just go to my camera here while we wait for Brian. He will come back and give us his audio. Let me just cut to that. There we go. All right. Should I add a full strip east to west? Yes, I would add a full strip east to west.
Tappa, tappa, tappa.
Oh,
check 1, 2.
We have audio.
He's
back.
Ba-da. Ba-da. You're supposed to bring me back over
okay.
Instead of like soloing you.
Oh, there you go.
I'm trying to build up. Da-da-da-da. Ba-da.
I don't know what happened to his audio.
Yeah, I restarted my sound system. I have a very old capture device here, so it can be spotty at times. So I had to close Chrome, all that fun stuff. If anybody knows of a system better than vMix Call so we can get higher quality audio and video across, please let me know.
Yeah. So far, that's what we've got.
Because it's either buy it for $400 or use their lovely web interface.
Now, what else do we have here? We've got, should I add a full strip east-west? Yes, you should. High-Tech Ragnak, I use Dollar Store 5x7 picture frame glass on my Mini. Picture frame glass is a little different than the type of glass that you're going to use traditionally, because picture glass is not heat tempered, whereas borosilicate glass is. So just be aware that you're also not getting a nice true flat glass either out of Dollar Store picture frame glass, because at the end of the day,
if you're in a bind, it'll do. But
yeah, if you're in a bind, it'll do for sure. Snapshot FPV is saying I use aluminum ducting tape. Kawasaki ZX-14, I guess you solved this problem. So he was one of our questions tonight, but it looks like he solved his problem.
Yay!
Ooh, I just saw lightning and now I'm hearing thunder.
Yeah, it's there's some wild pulses. For those of you who I don't know if you're weather people. I'm a weather junkie myself, so I'll just quickly show you guys. This is what's blowing through the area right now to give you an idea. So what you're seeing here is multiple cells and the planes flying around. I'm a big weather guy, so you'll see a lot more 3D printing and weather related things in the future here. But we've got at least 5 or 6 different thunder cells going through the area. So yeah, we're having a lot of fun with the rumbles. If you guys like thunderstorms, give us a thumbs up, and while you're at it, thumbs up the video, eh?
Wow, that was truly
terrible.
Canadian, eh?
What can I say? I'm a shill.
So, Kawasaki, if you've got it working, we're not going to go through your long question or 3 questions that we made into one. We pretty much got that covered. He also says that you look like the old silent films.
Oh, that's fine.
Which one of us?
I don't know.
Both of us?
Maybe.
Could be my low frame rate. It's really painful when you use a $500 camera as your webcam and it gets downgraded to 720p going to Richard, and then he crops you again. So
Hey, listen, I'm only
that's why my signal's so dirty.
I'm using a $1,200 camera.
Yeah, we're not very efficient here.
No, we're not.
Well, I know it's great that you've solved that question. I'm just gonna quickly kind of browse through it. Basically, there's a whole bunch of compilation errors in Marlin, and if there's one thing you guys need to know about Visual Studio Code and Marlin is it will report problems, but problems are just warnings, and 95% of the time they don't impact your ability to build and upload code. So you will get warnings, even with different versions of Marlin, like a null or an unused variable, things like that once in a while that haven't been quite cleaned up yet. If you do get warnings but not errors, go ahead and load it on and see where the errors, if any errors occur. I know mine have warnings, but mine still work fine. So hopefully that sums up that rather long question.
Grandpa Bill, hey Brian, I survived 2 heart surgeries last weekend. How's my firmware coming?
That's a very good question. I got a little behind there, actually. I know we had that email come through, I think it was last week there. I'll have to take a look. Unfortunately, we do, well, at least I right now, I have a very busy day job, so I'm still working quite long days. Pandemic, you either had no work or way too much work, and I was on the latter half. So it's bittersweet, what can I say? So sorry, guys, if I do fall a little bit behind on these things, kick my butt once in a while, because it does happen.
There was a question here, what type of tape to hold down the glass? You really don't use tape. You use these things right here, only a little bit smaller. That's what I use to hold down the glass. And
you guys can shame us for still using those, but they work.
Yeah, they work. They work great. And they're awesome because you can take them off and you just go and pop them, take your glass over to the sink so you can clean off all the residue of the glue or whatever you're using for an adhesive, and it works great.
Now, if I was still using glass because I've got a bunch of flex beds right now. But if I was still on glass, one thing I was doing for a while was using those photo clamps, the ones that if you ever get frameless picture frames from Michaels or whatever your choice store is, you can actually use those if you really want to maximize that build area on the bed. But you got to make sure that your nozzle's not going to drag because without putting some kind of friction-based surface underneath that glass, it will shift around a bit. And if you are really impacting your print, I've seen a lot of photos this week of just a bed shifted right off mid-print and just shoved off. And best case scenario, you lose your print. Worst case, you shattered the glass everywhere. It's not fun. So yeah, I'm still a binder clip guy on my glass.
Yeah, me too. What else we got here? I know we've got a question. Have either of you guys used Idea Maker Slicer? That's from Ben Brady.
I haven't used Idea Maker. I did just recently. I've tried using the Prusa slicer with an Ender, and I see potential in it, but the profile does not work at all with my machine. It created a bunch of gaps on different places, and the only difference between the stock machine and this one was a direct drive hookup. It even still has a Bowden setup, so
Gotcha.
I don't know if that's just my experience, but I'm still experimenting with a few different slicers to find out what the best one for me is, but I have a feeling you can reproduce any setting really across different slicers. So Prusa, for instance, they use a line width of 0.45 with a 0.4 nozzle, so you can translate that right over to Cura. This Idea Maker one, it's another one in the pile. I appreciate competition, but it hasn't been making waves with any special features that warrant me to expedite its testing, shall we say.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I have it downloaded. I've just never installed it. Right now, with all the stuff I'm doing personally with Cura for the upcoming courses that we're going to launch, Cura has been the number one. And then, of course, we're going to do Simplified 3D as an add-on. We may do Prusa Slicer or we may do Repetier. I'm not sure which we're going to do first. I think both of those are kind of in the same category in terms of popularity. So we'll do the two most popular first in our courses, which will be going up to learnthefirstlayer.com. And those will be our first course, which is the Ultimate Beginner's Guide to 3D Printing. We'll be starting registration on the 15th or the end of that week. So either Monday or Friday of next week, that will go live and you can start registering if you are interested in those courses. Then we'll put new courses up as we have them ready and we've decided what we want to do with them.
Absolutely.
What else do we get? Ray Milbrandt, let's get that out all in one word. I have a stock CR-10S Pro V2. Is it worth upgrading anything to improve the use of the printer? No. The only thing, well, no with an asterisk, I would say. The only thing that I would upgrade on that would be the hot end. I would take out the fake E3D V6 and I would replace it with a genuine E3D V6. I think you'll get better prints and you'll have a much better printing experience.
With that being said, though, I don't think there's any reason to rush into a change. I think if it's working for you right now, don't get stuck down a rabbit hole. Solve problems as they pop up. Maybe consider ordering an official E3D hot end for when you have problems, but there's no need to expedite and throw it in until you start having issues.
Yeah. Eric B says, I got a high spot on my glass bed right in the middle. Any suggestions on a workaround? Flip it over. If the glass itself is high in the middle, flip it over.
Yeah. And the bed, as I've learned this week, and there's something in the works in regards to that. There's a lot of different bowing issues with especially Creality beds. Simply put, they're too thin. And I've actually encountered a really interesting issue I didn't think I could actually possibly do that's resulted in me having to custom engineer a new custom bed for at least for my 10S5. So at the end of the day, glass should be as flat as can be, and that's why we push for mirrored glass, because if there are deformities in that, you're going to most likely notice it when you're looking at a reflection of yourself. So the quality control standards of glass is much higher in a mirror design versus your standard window pane glass. And it's also way cheaper too, depending on where you can get as a source. So if you're having that bowing, I didn't see, sorry, was it a mirror or was it just a sheet of glass?
Just a sheet of glass, I think.
Okay, yeah, sheet of glass. There's not too many things you can do because glass doesn't like to bow, honestly. Especially, and depending on how thin it is, it can modify itself a little bit under heat. You can try using something as thin as tin foil or some kind of temperature tolerant material to try and raise those corners to see if it will sag a bit. Mm-hmm. But the rigidity is pretty set from the factory, I've found. Yeah, and unfortunately with Creality glass beds, it's I'm not going to say it's the top quality, right?
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I was just going to allude to, is the problem that we have when it comes to glass being shipped out of China and you're not getting it from your local glass maker. You're going to find that some of it is not to the same tolerances as you would find from a more higher quality dealer. So sometimes you are going to have a little bit of a bow. Sometimes you're going to have a dip depending on which way the glass is flipped. If you've got a dip, flip it over so that now you'll have a little bit of a bow, hopefully. Sometimes it's just a little thin, the glass in that section when they were making that sheet. Glass is made in several different ways. So pane glass is even much more difficult to manufacture. Mm-hmm. So just be aware that no glass is perfect. I prefer mirrors because the technical term is they're truly flat, but even mirrors aren't exactly truly flat. They can have distortion in them if you look closely enough. But I prefer mirrors over glass any day, but I do use glass on a lot of my printers. So just because I don't feel like getting the mirrors cut for the 10 different sizes of beds that I have.
Yeah, and that's not to say you can't get it done. I mean, we've talked about Lowe's and IKEA and all these different companies having 12 by 12 mirrors, which is convenient. But actually, for my big machine downstairs, I did have custom glass cut. And I think it was like 5mm glass. It was not thin stuff. 5mm mirrors, and 2 of them cost me $60 Canadian, and that was available in 2 hours in Calgary. So it is definitely an option to go to your local glass makers. I think depending on where you're at, you're going to find one locally, and they're really generally willing to work with people. If you have a small printer like a Monoprice, they might even have a free sheet as a sample to give to you that you can just go and use that. Because the Monoprices, I did have to cut beds. It was not fun. You need a glass cutter. You chip it the wrong way, or it's just not fun. You better leave it to the right people. Kawasaki saying bed sensors should help with any uneven or warped bed, I would think. I think it's time I talk a little bit about this, because
I think so.
That is true with a very heavy asterisk, because the bed sensors will help with minor deviations, okay? But anytime you're trying to deal with major deviations, which may not even be visible to you but could be upwards of a millimeter, the bed leveling sensor will adequately detect that, but in a lot of cases with Marlin, it'll actually reject it, which is why you get a homing failed. So it will deal with small aberrations and clean up your first layer, but don't rely on it too much. If anything, you should be working on finding where those deviations are and solving them using the BL Touch to help detect them. And that's why you need things like G29 via USB instead of via the main printer interface. So yes, ABLs will help, but it will not always solve it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the other thing about having an ABL is you've got to make sure that the ABL and the nozzle are calibrated properly. So you've got to have the right spacing for that pin to drop. If it's too low, the pin will always catch on your print. So what I did a while ago was I created this, and you're probably not going to be able to see that very well.
You almost got a polar bear. Yeah. Welcome to autofocus land.
Yeah, welcome to autofocus land. what this is, and if you can see by its profile, is what you do when your nozzle is cold is you set your nozzle down on this side. And then you dial in your BL Touch so that the pin, when it's stowed, just touches this side. What it's giving you is a 2.55 millimeter offset. And that's the exact space that BL Touch tells you that you need to have between the end of the pin when it's stowed and the end of your nozzle. So I am going to make these available. This is a simple, easy design. I'll make it available for everybody. We'll get it out probably this week for you guys. And if you want to download this, if you've got a BL Touch, it's a great way for setting your BL Touch. And then you just go ahead and set your offset for your actual head or your print head to your actual bed. And this will be calibrated every single time that you do it. It's just a little tool that I found that worked really good.
And we're going to go a bit into depth with BL Touches soon because there is a lot more things you can dial. And you know what? The only reason I want to do something on it is because everyone is so split on it. And I think it's because of a lack of understanding on how the module works, how it interfaces with your machine. So we're gonna divulge into that once I can cement down the information for you guys and not provide you with an opinion, but rather pure factual information.
Okay, I think that's pretty much the questions in a nutshell. So far, you've got one more question over there from Rex Waldy.
I sure do. Let me pull it right over here. So Rex Waldy sent us an email this week and said, just upgraded my Ender 3 Pro with Big Tree's SKR Mini E3 V2.0. Good for you getting a hold of one of those. I haven't chased one down yet. So that's pretty neat there. Upload the firmware from their GitHub page. The only problem I have is when I start a print, it does not want to do a G29. Have BL Touch installed. It will do a G29 via Pronterface. I've added G29 to my start code in Cura 4.6.1. Well, through my experience in the latest Marlins, if you do the G29 from your screen, it usually automatically issues you, or it automatically issues a G28. But when it's kind of reading G code in a print, it doesn't always do it. So my first question would be, are you still running a G29 or G28 before your G29 in your start G code? If you are and you're still having problems, we might have to drill down on what's going on with your firmware there. But as a workaround, there is a feature, restore G29 after G28s in Marlin, or at the start of your G code, once you've done your G29 manually, after your G28 home in your start code, add M420 space S1. And what that does is that pulls back the bed leveling data from memory and re-enables bed leveling. So for those of you who don't know, G28 by default on most machines now, if you issue a G28, it turns off bed leveling and resets everything. And there is a reason for that, but for the consumers, it makes no sense. So I'll post that code in the chat and add that to your start G code. Even if you have that restore G29 after G28, I can't remember the exact line of code. It's just a good recheck to make sure that bed leveling compensation is enabled after homing.
There you go. Well, we're halfway through the show. I just want to remind you guys that we do have the super chat turned on tonight. So if you are asking a question and you want to get to the head of the line, that's a good way to do it. And to get a little fanfare as well. And it also helps us out. It helps us to, keep going and getting new materials like the stuff that we needed for this. Again, this is coming up on Wednesday. This is our rocket launcher, our homemade rocket launcher. This year we're not doing the Arduino one, but we will do the Arduino one for a later date, I do believe. Also want to let you know that this is where you can send your questions throughout the week to questions@thefirstlayer.com. That's where the questions that come in there, we typically will take those questions and put those into our doc for tonight. And then Brian and I and my wife share that document, and we try and answer your questions the best that we have to the best of our knowledge. So make sure that you check that out. And now we've got this one, we move to another little slide. This is where you can find us on social media. You can join our group over at the First Layer if you're not a member there yet. You can also find us on Instagram at the First Layer. And if you want to follow me, you can follow me on at Cleveland_IM. I don't do a lot on Twitter, so yeah, you know. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you know, YouTube.com /The First Layer is the place to subscribe, and that's where we love to have you there. And we look at your comments each and every week, and we try and answer them the best that we can. And I hope that you guys enjoyed the look at the last week's best resin printer in my mind for the money, which was the Phrozen Sonic Mini. I love that little thing. It works great. I'm still testing out the ABS Black. I think that printer is going to be something that is going to make changes to a lot of other people. It's in that same class category as the Photon and the Creality LDR-00 or the LD-002R. And a lot of other printers that are in that price range. But I will say it is twice as fast, and I can confirm that. I believe I've still got this little model still on my desk from Wednesday's episode, and that is Naomi Wu. You can go and find that under the Sexy Cyborg Naomi Wu on My Mini Factory. That's where that one is. So, what else? Did I miss anything, Bri?
No, I think you got everything. We haven't updated our slide here yet, but as we mentioned earlier, we have finally launched our Discord. So
Yes.
Robert Marvin gave me a good reminder there. I have posted the link again in the chat. Free to join. I like Discord, honestly. I love it. I use it for a lot of different things, and it's right on my phone. So that's actually probably the best way to reach myself throughout the day. And then Richard soon eventually, because you can have it on your phone, you can have it on your computer.
I
You can
haven't
hop
put it
in
on
for
my
a
phone
quick
yet.
chat. No? Oh,
No,
it's great. I
just
mean,
have it on
I've
the
got like
computer
20
back over
groups.
here.
So
Yeah, I have like 2 groups that I'm part of, and one is of course Adam Savage's group, and then of course our group, which you know, that was a lot of work getting it set up, and I'm glad that you took over the finish work on it. I will admit that. For those of you that are Patreons at the $10 level, and you will be getting an invite to that Discord this week, and that will be private just for Patreons, so we can have private discussions for our Patreons in there. And that was one of the benefits that you get at that $10 level. And then you also will get some other stuff as well. And we're looking at getting some prizes in for the rest of the year that we can give away. We can't have contests, for my understanding, here on on YouTube anymore, but we will be announcing them in our Facebook group. We'll be announcing them on Discord, and we'll be announcing them on Patreon as well. So, Parker Cooper says, I've been in the printing game for less than a month, and I have an Ender 3 and a Monoprice Mini 2.
well, then you're behind. You got 3 more printers to go.
That's right. When I first got into this, I had one printer, and it was a piece of garbage. It really was. And I used that printer to make 2 more printers, which then got me to the point where I bought my first printer. And now I've sold some of my printers. I have given away some printers. I don't have any printers right now for giveaway, but we have some great reviews coming up very, very soon on some really cool products, and a company that we are looking very much in favor of working with over the long haul, and it looks like that's coming to fruition. So yeah, we're getting there.
I'm really happy to see printers starting to roll off the lines again. And, I understand, I know we're all in a tough situation here. We're still riding COVID out, or as some channels have called it, the Backstreet Boys reunion tour. So to see a lot of this manufacturing in China really firing up again is kind of a positive outlook. And so, we're seeing all these new printers come in. I'm kind of I'm kind of excited to see what comes out of the works this year. And until then, resin's going to tie me over because PLA is too darn expensive.
Yeah, resin's going to tie me over too. I got to tell you guys, like I'm seeing where people are here with their how many printers they have, and admittedly, in our household right now, we have 15 printers. 2 of them are in build stages, and the rest of them are going well. Hey, we got a super chat, but my super chat button is not working tonight. I'm sorry.
Oh, come on! You sold that thing up, and super chat.
Do you want me to do it?
Okay, do it.
Super chat.
There we go. Okay, thank you, Joseph Jolly.
Joseph Jolly,
really appreciate
thank you
the
very much
donation.
for your super chat. Big fanfare. Yay!
Yay!
Get my Muppet dance.
Yay!
Yes, we are losing
Really
our
appreciate
minds
it.
here tonight.
As
Thank
you can tell,
very much, Joseph.
it's really hot up here. I'm getting central air installed next week at a disgustingly high price because this is the hottest June I think we've had in 10 years already. So
It's funny because as the show goes on tonight, your face is getting more and more
I know.
shiny.
and you're not even seeing the up close sweat. And I've got the window wide open right now after that storm. It dropped 10 degrees and then bounced right back up.
Wow. What's your print Alan Loosely, I love this one. What's your opinion on Delta printers?
They are so cool and so unnecessary.
Yep. I'm in the exact same boat.
You can the concept of a Core XY on 3-axis, it's really neat. However, the whole reason 32-bit boards came out was because the computation requirements to determine that a simple X plus 5 movement requires 3 different motors working at a specific arc rate so as not to dip and move up. The calculations are enormous, so they are really cool to watch. I think they had a place and a time, and they're no longer as relevant as they once were.
We got another super chat.
I'm going to start this. Super chat.
Well done. Hey, thank you, Johnny Gardner. You get the little dance.
Thank you, appreciate it. We're gonna be working on. We're starting to procure more materials for future reviews, shall we say? So, super chats have been a huge help. As you would be surprised as how much work it takes to get a company to send us a nozzle sometimes.
Yeah.
I find the companies, like, they'll happily send you a printer, but if you need, like, if you want to try one of their small components, it's like,
yeah, they can't fathom a $20 or even a $5 part, but they'll send you a $300 to $400 printer with no questions asked.
Yeah, it's fun. So we any kind of printer mods, the reason we don't do a lot of videos on them is because we have to source 90% of them, and they don't always work out. So,
and we before we give you guys a review on something, we really want to test it out first. And the only way for us to test it out first is to put it on the bench and just go for it for sometimes 2 to 3 weeks. Sometimes it even takes longer depending on what we're doing.
Yeah, you want to see something that's been sitting on my bench down here for probably a good 4 months now.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Down here. This is what happens when things get buried around here. Come on now. There we go. There's the reservoir for a liquid-cooled nozzle.
There you go.
I've been testing it because I don't want to run this until this is proven 5 or 6 months with no leaks. So we're just about there.
What's that, huh?
So yeah, liquid-cooled nozzles look cool, but they require a lot more maintenance. So I don't know if I want to promote that to you guys yet. And I also don't have a spare machine to put them on. So we'll see what happens.
Joseph Jolly, thank you very much for your comment there. That's very nice of you. We do appreciate that. RT, sorry,
I'm going to tell you guys, we're here for you guys. You know, I love coming out and chatting with you guys every week. If nobody was here, I don't think I'd have it in me much anymore. So you guys have been a huge support anchor with us getting through the current crisis and beyond. And we're working hard to make sure we can bring that back to you guys. You know, at least by doing these live streams, but bringing you more interesting content as we go forward.
Yeah, and that's for sure. We're gonna slap RT on the back of the hand because he's late. I also saw, somebody I missed tonight was Jerry Knapp, 3D printing and painting.
Yeah, Jerry, you came in a little bit late there, and
I'd like everybody in the room tonight that is in our chat to give Jerry a big happy birthday. He had a birthday a couple days ago, and he is still looking young and handsome as ever.
And if you aren't subscribed to him right now, you really need to.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I'm just... Why is it so hard to find your channel, Jerry? I'm going to blame you for that. There's like 9 videos about 3D printing and painting until I can get to your channel. So, yeah, I am just posting the link now. Please go give him a wish happy birthday and bump up his subscribers. He's 1.41K and growing. So
yeah,
his painting, oh my gosh. Every time I see him in the background, I'm like, you did all that? Whew. That would look like a famous collector with some of the stuff he's got in there. So, yeah. Check out his channel.
Hey, there's RT. He says he's the big 50 tomorrow. Happy birthday to you, RT. And you still got 5 years to catch up to me.
We're all getting there. At least Ben Brady's saying if he moves again, he's going to get broadband so he can stream again. Well, Starlink is coming late 2020 here. Sign up on their website. I signed up today just to see.
So, we've still got a good 15 minutes here, or just a little under. But again, happy birthday to all those that have had birthdays this week that we've missed and are having birthdays tomorrow or in the week. Again, we're continuing with our 3D printed rocket series this week. And what else? Jerry's a year older than me. Oh, he's only 56.
That sounds like trouble in Vegas.
That does. Yes, trouble in Vegas.
He's my age.
I got to tell you, I'll tell you a really quick Vegas story. The last time I was in Vegas, I was 21. I went down with some buddies of mine, and we were there maybe 48 hours before we were escorted back to the airport and put on the plane by the local authorities.
That long? Shame on you.
Well, we planned on spending 4 or 5 days there. I can't remember because I was so drunk during that time.
Man.
I do remember getting back to Manitoba and shaking my head because I wondered what happened to the weekend that was already over. But yes, it was interesting. It was a very interesting time. But my wife wants to go to Vegas. I want to go to Vegas. You want to go to Vegas. I
want to go down there see Jerry.
Yeah, that's why I want to go down.
Okay. Since there's no questions, this is story time about Brian's time in Vegas. So I don't want to say work, but I do a lot of dealings with Lenovo, and they offered to send me down to CES a couple of years ago. And so I said, yeah, absolutely. I'd love to go there. And it was cool. I mean, I met Linus Tech Tips. I met Gavin Free from Rooster Teeth and the Slow Mo guys. I got to, I want to say I partied with Smash Mouth. I mean, they played in our little venue. It was a great time, except the morning. And I was a spry, like 28-year-old guy at the time. I step out of the shower in the morning to get ready for my flight, and I popped my back. And it stayed stiff the entire CES. And I'm also an asthmatic, so I was hobbling around Vegas, which, if you don't know, walking from one building to another is about like a mile of just routing through the casinos with the old smell of cigarettes. So by the time I got down there, day 1.5, my goal was to walk out of Vegas with the Clark Griswold style, aka no money. I ate the Blue Food Buffet, and that was about it.
There you go.
It is a very neat city to visit, though.
Phil is interrupting story time, so we should actually get back to the task at hand here.
Hey, it's Saturday Hangout. What can I say?
Phil Kinane, can I ask, my CR-10S Pro does not stop lowering on the Z even if I put my finger under the stock sensor. The light comes on, but no one home.
Okay, so if the light's coming on, then you've got power to the sensor. If it's not reacting, then there is some kind of wire disconnect from your signal back to your printer. So my apologies. I really never spent the time Richard spent with the CR-10S Pro. However,
I
I do
had very
believe
little
that
time with it.
yeah, it sounds like there's a loose connection with
Yeah.
that sensor, because if it's lighting up, it's sending back the trigger signal. So if you have opened up the machine and you're comfortable with it, I would just open it up just to verify that end stop connector is plugged in, is not damaged anywhere along the line. Just follow the wire. I think there's only two
Yeah,
for
there's
that
only two.
sensor. So, and then if you're still not seeing anything, if you have a multimeter, just verify you're seeing a change in voltage on one of the return wires on the main board. It's a little technical, but it does sound like there's been a physical disconnect somewhere along that wired connection.
Len Gore is asking about a webcam to use with your printer. And I'm going to show you the one that I really like. There's one there.
Is it a
That's
Logitech C920?
Nope. Are you ready?
Oh. Ah, yes.
This is the one I like. There's very little to no setup. Basically, you take it out of the box, you plug it in, you configure it. There it is there. It has a magnetic base. So you could, if you've got it on some metal shelving, you can put it on there. You plug it into your printer, of course, and you use an app on your phone to connect to it. Once you're connected on that app, you can start and stop prints so long as you load your SD card into the camera. You're not going to load your SD card anymore into your printer. You're going to load it into the SD camera. And you can do recordings with this. You can do snapshots with it. You can turn off the printer if there's something going wrong, so that you don't have come home to a bird's nest. But this guy right here is I just have to put it up in our print room, which if you remember on our Patreon, you're going to get a behind-the-scenes look at our print room and hobby room. Where we do all of our printing and now all of our cleaning and painting and that sort of thing. So that's what I would recommend. They're not that expensive. I believe that you can find them online for anywhere between $35 and $50, depending on where you buy them.
Yeah, just do some Googling into the latest on those, because I heard support was getting a little spotty. I heard the app was actually pulled from the App Store briefly. So bearing in mind, when we did the review on this, we installed it on this phone, and since it's an APK, since there was an APK and it wasn't through the Google Play Store, there's no official updates that get pushed. We just download the file and it's good to go. So, I mean, if anyone has had a different experience than what we've had, let us know in the chat. I am curious on that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Kawasaki had a great question here. Is it okay to extend the thermistor wires to be able to get all the electronics out of my ABS printer enclosure? All other wires should be okay to extend. That is a complex question. The simple answer is yes, but the longer answer is the longer the cables get, if you don't buy higher quality cables with insulation on them, and you don't keep them distanced away from, say, your stepper motor cables, they're going to be more prone to EMF interference. So you might start noticing more fluctuations on the temperature as the thermistor is, what would we call that thing there? Is it the thermistor? I'm a little heat strokey tonight. Yes, the thermistor. It's a resistor basically that has set properties based off temperatures, and then if you get electrical noise on it, that can adjust the return voltage to the board, making it think it's higher or lower. And I don't know, maybe we'll get the equipment to do an EMF example at some point, but for most people, if you keep the cable under 15 feet, you're probably going to be okay.
Now, I was asked if we could get a link to this, and I have put a link down in the chat. You can get it right off Creality's web store.
Oh, just so you know, that's not the official Creality store. Before we get too far on that, there's
Oh,
Creality3D.shop is a company that looks like Creality, and they do ship their products, but there's a lot of things as they don't ship as fast as the official Creality. And I just want to jump in and just tell you that because it's been popping up more and more often. So I'll
gotcha.
see if Creality official still have them listed. Stand by.
Okay.
But these guys, they're not a scam. They just don't ship nearly as fast as Creality. So if you want the specific product, that URL will work, but you'll probably be waiting a month or two, or in my case, 5 for some stuff right now.
Yeah.
Shipping sucks right now.
Phil Kane says he's waiting for something to be sent to him. 3D printing and painting, security cameras.
Oh, tiny machines, yeah.
Yeah. Home Depot, $25. You can download the file and convert the webcam, but without sound on, as webcam is 1080p. That's actually really good way of doing it. Go and buy a $25
Yeah,
webcam.
I have a literal ton of Wisecams watching my property, to be honest. This is the Wisecam V2 for $40. It's got an SD card slot in the bottom so that you can record more. And by default, they give you 12-second recordings of motion in 5-minute intervals, and they keep it all in the cloud for 14 days for free. Or you can buy unlimited recordings of up to, I think, 5 minutes with sound, whatever you want, night vision. It's got all that for $1.49 US a month, and that's in the cloud. If you put the SD card in, it'll continuously record on that card as long as there's room on there, and then it loops back like a dash cam. I think what Jerry was saying there is a firmware that they provide that will enable what's called RTSP streaming. So if you set that up, I think you can actually now feed that direct into Octoprint, which is really cool. So it takes away the cloud aspect, and it gives you a local streaming of your webcam, so you don't have to worry about anyone spying on your info or anything like that. It's a stellar camera. I just haven't bought a whole bunch of them because at one point my electronic recyclers had C920s and I got like 7 of them for $50 or something stupid. So I still got a few of those to work through before I buy more cameras.
So we're going to do one more question here because we're just about out of time, and it's Ian Jones. It sounds like he's having a problem with his Z-steps. In Marlin, there is something that you can turn off to go below 0 into the minus when you're adjusting your Z offset. And I can't remember exactly what the command is or where it is in Marlin.
I'm looking.
Brian's looking it up real quick. But yes, you can go below 0, and that's how you set a offset for your 3D printer, especially when you have something like a BL Touch on there. You have to be able to set the offset manually. So, and then just save it into the firmware's memory. So yes, there's a way to do it.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up for next time. There is you can kind of what we call cheese it in the gaming industry. You can go and redefine where your nozzle is, and there's a command, I think it's G92, where you can set where the current Z position is. And so if you move it down to 0, you can issue a G92 Z5, and now your printer's going to say, hey, I'm at 5 millimeters. And then you can move it down a little bit and figure out what your offsets are there. Ben Brady saying M211S0, which is turn off software end stops. That might work as well. If I recall, in Marlin, outside of like a Pronterface interface, going on the screen, it does not allow me to jog, as we call it in the CNC realm, jog it below the 0. So when I have a more formal answer for you guys, maybe I'll try and bring that back for next week.
I'm going to ask Ian if he can send that to questions@thefirstlayer.com, and we'll have a more definitive answer for you on next Saturday's episode, which Brian will not be with us, my understanding, next Saturday.
Actually, I should be
20th?
Here. It's a midday wedding.
Oh,
so
okay. So Brian
yeah,
will be with us
I don't
on the
intend
20th.
I don't intend on partying all night unless you want to get the phone call webcam, because I got to drive back home after it.
Yeah, go ahead and send us that question, Ian, to questions@thefirstlayer.com, and we will have a more definitive answer for you next week. DePark88, RTSV on the Wisecam. is glitchy as hell. Oh,
It can be and it can't be. So RTSP is an old protocol. Um, Really, what you got to think about is the Wisecam operates on, well, it's a little Linux chip in there. So in order to get RTSP on there, they had to strip out a bunch of other stuff, and it's not as optimized. So if your whole intention is to capture the video manually outside of a phone, it really is your only option. And I think they're pushing a bit more towards people learning more about that. They're at least supporting it. Bear in mind, the Wisecam also only works on 2.4 gig networks, so you're limited at 54 megabit. And if your Wi-Fi is clogged, it is going to have some bubbles.
there you go. So we have reached the end. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. I always want to thank Brian because he's my best friend and my cohort in getting things done around here.
The troublesome one.
The guy phones me up in the middle of the day and goes, "Hey, you should think about this," and then I get fixated on it and I can't do anything. Ian Jones with a super chat. Thank you very much. Right at the very end, €5.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you very, very much. We do appreciate that. Do your super chat.
Super chat.
There you go.
It was a little off. Super chat.
I'll have that button fixed for next week, I promise.
I just want to touch Lachlan's question here because that actually is kind of a fun one. What mics do you guys have? I'll let you start with yours, Richard, because I got to look at what mine is again.
I have above me right here tonight, I'm using the Rode NTG2. It's a shotgun microphone. Over here, this one that you guys have seen me use a number of times, this is a Audio-Technica 2005. ATR 2005. I like this one because it can be used both as a sound card and through XLR. So you can connect this directly to your computer just by using a proper computer cable. So those are the two mics I generally use. I don't use my wireless anymore. It eats up batteries like crazy, and I just don't think it's worth using. Maybe when we do live events, I'll use that more. But right now, these two mics work the best for the stuff that I'm doing. What about you?
This one, I'm going to bounce around a little bit because it's a very sensitive mic, but this is the Aston Stealth. This was my little COVID present to myself, if you will. And because the mic is like $450. It's very, very expensive, but it's because I wanted a Shure SM7B, but I just didn't want to drop $750 Canadian on that mic. It's very directional. As you can see, I point. Let's see, is that going to focus? There we go. And it does have a bunch of different voice profile modes there that I can rotate through based off the shape. So there's a V1. Let's see if this will work. Maybe. I'm really bad at this mic. I haven't learned much about it yet. But it's got a Vocaloid mode that we're in right now for the most common voices. It's got things for acoustics, different guitars and stuff. I'm a mic guy. I know guys that work in the audio industry, so I leverage a lot of different play toys. But you don't need that much of a complex of a setup to do a show like this. When I was showing off the 920 earlier, this little camera is pretty darn good compared to most of the ones I've seen out there. And this thing on sale can go for as low as $70. It actually has built-in mics, so if you're getting started, it's a great way to start out.
There you go. With that said, thank you again, everybody, for joining us tonight. Thank you for all of the super chats tonight. We really do appreciate them. And we're going to be back Wednesday. If you've been following our first rockets, 3D printed rockets, you'll definitely want to be around for this. On Wednesday when we show you, I'm going to show you what I did. I modeled it up, and I'll have all the list to all the parts that we're using, and I'll even show you the wiring diagram for this. So it all runs off.
You got to show that layer off once more, just the shine of it. And it's not until you hit that one angle that you see it's 3D printed just based off the lines. But look how smooth that came out. It
came out beautiful. And that's the top layer.
That's great. Wow.
And this is the matte. This is the Eco Black, Eco Tough Black from filaments.ca, the case. And there's no shine to that at all. None. It's beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
And this can be annealed. This black can be annealed, so you can throw it into the oven and anneal it. So when you see this on Wednesday, you will actually see it all light up. And how this works, just so I'll give you guys a quick little primer. You put the key in, turn the key on. Then the voltage indicator comes on, and right now it's a push pin, but the green push pin will light up. And then what you'll do is you'll connect the wires to your igniter for your rocket motor. Then this white push pin, or this clear push pin, will light up, telling you you've got continuity. Then you flip that up. You flip the switch to arm the rocket engine, and then the red light, or red push pin, will come on, and then you just hit the fire button and launch your rocket. So we're going to show you how that all goes together and how it all works on Wednesday, and we'll go from there. Until we see you guys next week here on the First Layer, next Saturday night, please remember that the First Layer is always your foundation to a great print. Go check out shopthefirstlayer.com, get yourself a t-shirt, and on Wednesday these will be up and available for you, as well as this, for those guys that have BL Touches, will be up and available for you as well. So for now, bye!
See ya!
Bye!
I'll do the two-hander.
We're out.